A year after the Trump administration announced that a major pillar of its new strategy for Africa was to counter the growing influence of China and Russia by expanding economic ties to the continent. It slammed the door on Nigeria, the continent's biggest economy. The travel restrictions also applies to 3 other African countries, Sudan, Tanzania, and Eritrea, as well as to Myanmar, now which is accused of genocides against its Muslim population. The ban will prevent thousands of people from being able to move to the United States, according to the visiting fellow at the Center for Global Development, W. Goldmore. With the new expansion, the ban will affect nearly a quarter of the 1.2 billion people on the African continent, potentially taking a heavy toll on Africa's economy and on America's image in the region. Experts say the economic consequences of the ban could be far-reaching. Being cut off from the largest economy in the world systematically is problematic. The biggest impact could be on remittances. According to the accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers, Nigerians abroad sent home at least $24 billion each year. That's looking at the records for 2018 alone. With Nigeria's economy highly dependent on oil and its unemployment rate at 23%, this money, of course, provides a lifeline for millions of citizens. Let's look at the implication of this decision on investors' confidence. I have joining me Chief Executive Officer, Cowry Asset Limited, Mr. Johnson Chukwu. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Johnson, at this time.
Thank you, Tony, for having me.
I want to start with President Buhari's presenting Nigeria's 2020 visa policy, saying this will help economic growth plan attract investors. How does this come to you?
Well, countries have actually used their visa policy to attract investors as part of the complementary support to attract investment. It's a necessary but not sufficient condition to bring in investors. A lot of other factors have to be in place. But your visa policy will make it amenable for people to basically at short notice or not to come to your country. We saw Dubai, United Arab Emirates, that introduced a very loose visa policy that attracted a lot of tourist activities into their country. We've also seen other countries try to explore the same strategy to encourage people to come to their country. But it must be complemented by other core issues, such as safety of life and property in your country, the level of infrastructure support in your country, and then that they are commercial or tourist attractions in your country that will bring people to your country. So beyond the visa policies, the government also have to do heavy lifting, which will come in terms of supporting infrastructure, addressing the development security in the country, and then creating the attraction, the purpose of that visit. It's going to be tourism. Are we promoting our tourist side? Is it going to be commercial? Do we have commercial interests that should attract investors to this country? I think beyond the visa policy, we also need to do what I call the heavy lifting, the critical issues that will actually bring investors to this country.
When we talk about these critical issues, moving on in 2020, we see a lot of moves aimed at encouraging SMEs, making the economy more conducive, making the business environment more conducive. But how well would you say this sits with foreign investors? What are the things, let's be specific, that really needs to be done to make Nigeria become that country that all investors would like to come? Bring the money. Let's get the money in this part of the world.
Well, the first thing we have to look at what rate is our economy is growing. The first thing that the investor will look at is that the economy is growing about 2%. So on average basis, if I invest in your country, what will be the rate of return I would expect in that economy? If the economy is growing at a very slow rate, then the likelihood that you will see high returns in that economy is quite low. So the first thing is that how do we restructure the economy as to improve our growth rate? I mean, this economy used to grow about 10.58% year in year for almost a decade. So we can actually go back to that growth trajectory. Remember that we don't have a sector of the economy that's matured. So all sectors hold growth opportunities, and the key thing that is missing is that we have the apparent policy that will stimulate growth in all the sectors that we should be growing. But at such slow growth rates, sometimes the economy is oscillating at the edge of recession. you will not be an attractive destination for investors. That's one factor. I had mentioned the issue of insecurity. The most important to any man or woman on earth is his or her life. People don't go to environments where you think your life will be at risk. And we need to quickly address that. I mean, how many investors would today enter their plane and fly to Syria because they want to invest, or go to Afghanistan? If your country descends to a point where people are worried whether it's going to descend towards a first phase, you are not going to be a first point of call for foreign investors. And then you address the issue of infrastructural deficiency. I did mention the issue of transport infrastructure. You look at energy infrastructure. We need to address those things. And then the other factors for those who are looking for countries looking for foreign direct investors. For a highly populated country, we must have the appropriate labor force that have the right skills. And that takes you to the quality of education you have in your country, the focus of our educational curriculum. And these are some of the few things you need to address. Some of them are short-term in nature, some are medium to long-term in nature for you to make your country attractive for investors. We can learn from what countries like China and India have done or are still doing.
Now let's move to our focus now. New U.S. travel bans. Many say shuts the door at Africa's biggest economy. Now, the negative effect of this is what we're trying to analyze. How do you see, what effects do you see this having in investors' confidence, even doing business? Talking about this visa ban.
Okay, let me start from the message that the visa ban, the immigration visa ban, and particularly the reason behind that visa ban, immigration visa ban, which the U.S. said that their primary reason is because they cannot track we don't have a strong and reliable identity management system, and therefore they cannot track our citizens that are trying to come and relocate into their country. So they can't determine whether they have criminal records, whether they have history of supporting terrorism, or history of holding people to hostage, or agitating for some armed conflict. And because we now have several sections of the country that are now living with armed conflict, insurgency, banditry, so their concerns are people who are exposed to the use of weapons and who may have been radicalized may be coming to their country to reside and could act as cells to instigate instability in their own home country. And for me, that's actually the alarming bell, because for investors, what that says is that this country is unsafe, that they don't have track record of criminals, they don't have track record of those who have been involved in nefarious activities, and the U.S. and the foreign investors will be wondering, am I not going into partnership with somebody who has criminal records? For me, the message is very damning as it relates to the purpose or the primary reason behind that ban. And that's where the concerns are for investors. Will investors still have the confidence that in their partnership with Nigerian business partners, that they are dealing with legitimate, honest people with strong integrity and have no criminal records that could end up defrauding them or even risking their lives?
Mr. Johnson, in 2018, according to reports from PricewaterhouseCoopers, $24 billion came in as remittances from the United States. If this continues the way it is, what do you think is going to happen?
Okay, I have to look at that report, and I first, okay, I have two reports from PwC, and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Central Bank. But I'm going to quote the Central Bank figure because Central Bank is the conduit through which this remittances come through. Central Bank said in 2017, about 21.99 billion came in as home remittances, and in 2018, about 24 billion came in as home remittances. And even as at the end of September last year, that about 19.8 billion has come in as home remittances. If this visa ban stays and the government is unable to turn it by President Year's government to reconsider its position, what will happen is that the number of Nigerians that migrate and are remitting these funds to their families at home will decline. And but the outcome, the short-term outcome, may actually see an upsurge in remittances, but ultimately, in the medium to long term, you're going to see a drastic reduction. Why do I say the short-term implication will be you're going to see an upturn? Because there are people who are residing there who are inviting their parents to come over. When their parents come over, they stop the remittances. With this restriction, it simply means a Nigerian whose wife is in America or husband in America can file for his or her spouse to relocate to America. So whoever is on the other side will be compelled to continue to remit money in the meantime. But ultimately, the number of Nigerians that are migrating to the U.S. will decline, and you're going to see a reduction in home remittance. But the short-term implication is that the remittance may increase because the people they wanted to bring over, they can't bring them over. And therefore, they have to continue to support them. But the most important, the number of people who are going out there to be in position to remit funds locally will decline, and that will have a direct impact on the volume of home remittance we are receiving as a country.
Now, this is really contradicting one way or the other. We know about the Power Africa initiative where America wants to support the continent generally to get power one way or the other. Maybe we're looking at other means, and now you're coming the other way with this travel ban. One way or the other, how do you see all of this playing out?
Well, you know, the policy of the U.S., what they call their external policies, are driven by domestic policies. If you look at the U.S. history in terms of their external relations with countries, what is paramount to them is how it will affect their domestic policy. And today, the most important thing to Donald Trump, as the president of the U.S., is to safeguard or secure the U.S. homeland. And so they are going to compromise anything or sacrifice any support they want to give to Nigeria or any African country or any other country for that reason in favor of protecting their citizens at home and even protecting their citizens outside their country, their homeland. So whatever offer the U.S. is making to us, if we don't address the issue of their concerns about the safety of their citizens at home and the possibility that we could export terrorists or armed attack in their home country, they are likely going to sacrifice that on the altar of protecting their country. So they are not conflicting. We have to ask ourselves, what is the priority of their country, which unfortunately we don't seem to have articulated very well. I was quite happy when the federal government came up with our external relations policy earlier in the year. And because you must have a clear idea of how you want to live with other countries and what is of paramount importance to you in your relation with other countries. For the U.S., their homeland security is paramount to everything they do, and they will sacrifice anything to have that protected.
Mr. Johnson, before I let you go, will this help in any way to address corruption? Looting of funds outside the country? Well,
if I think already for those who are trying to remit money outside the country, to what we may call illegitimate funds, it's actually the gate has already been closed against them. You realize that most countries in Western nations, most banks in Western nations do not allow those classified politically exposed persons to open accounts with them or even operate bank accounts with them. So I think the window has likely been closed. But it will serve as a way of addressing or supporting the fight against corruption if it serves as a wake-up call to the government to say, look, let's not strengthen our identity management system. Let's have track record of those who have committed crime. Let's not grant amnesty to those who are on trial pending their conviction. And because we've seen instances where people who are on trial are no longer being tried, and they are now free, sometimes occupying very sensitive political offices. So those things do not send the right signal to those watching us from outside. It makes mockery of our fight against corruption. So the government must give its clearance and then be ready to fight anybody who is messing up with our patrimony, irrespective of the relationship the person may have with the echelons of leadership.
Mr. Johnson Chukwu, it's really good to see you. Thank you very much for your thoughts on this topic.